4th, 2026. I'm standing on the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea. Project Freedom is officially underway.
The Strait of Hormuz is no longer just a shipping lane. It's a global pressure point where every radar signal could mean the start of a conflict.
Iranian media reports missile launches, while the US denies any impact. In these waters, the line between truth and war is becoming dangerously thin.
Nearly a quarter of the world's oil supply flows through this narrow corridor. One miscalculation here won't just stay local, it will rock global markets.
Both sides are locked in, watching and waiting. The question isn't just what happens next, it's whether the world is ready for the fallout.
Strait of Hormuz tensions, May 5th, 2026. It's May 5th, 2026. In the Arabian Sea, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is currently on station as part of a new naval operation known as Project Freedom. Surrounding the carrier are guided missile destroyers, support ships, and carrier-based aircraft conducting continuous patrols. Above them, surveillance and combat aircraft maintain constant coverage of the region. Roughly 15,000 U.S. military personnel are now involved in the mission. The goal is clear: ensure safe passage for commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical maritime choke points in the world. Nearly 1/4 of global seaborne oil trade passes through this narrow waterway. Rising claims from Iran. Tensions escalated sharply after Iranian state-linked media reported that 2 missiles had struck the USS Abraham Lincoln near the southern entrance of the Strait of Hormuz. According to those reports, the carrier was allegedly targeted after ignoring warnings from Iranian fast attack vessels operating in the area. The claim quickly spread through Iranian-aligned media networks and regional outlets. However, U.S. Central Command issued a direct and immediate denial. Officials stated that no U.S. naval vessel was struck. Missile launches did not pose any threat to the carrier group, and operations continue as normal. Flight operations from the carrier resumed without interruption. While Iran did reportedly launch missiles, U.S. officials say none came close to their intended target. Information war and conflicting narratives. The incident highlights a familiar pattern. In the region, competing narratives between Iranian state media and Western military reporting. Iranian officials described the launch as a defensive response, framing it as a warning against increased U.S. naval presence in the area. Some Iranian statements escalated rhetoric further, warning of potential disruption to shipping lanes if the situation continues. On the other side, U.S. officials emphasized that the mission is strictly defensive and focused on protecting international shipping routes. Why the Strait of Hormuz matters. The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most strategically important waterways in the world. At its narrowest point, it is just over 20 miles wide, yet it handles a massive portion of global energy exports. Any disruption in this region can have immediate global economic consequences, particularly on oil and shipping markets. This is why multiple naval forces are now operating in the area, including U.S. carrier strike groups, destroyers, and surveillance aircraft. U.S. naval operations under Project Freedom. Under Project Freedom, the U.S. Navy is conducting coordinated escort missions for commercial shipping vessels. The operation includes carrier-based fighter aircraft, FA-18 and F-35, electronic warfare aircraft, EA-18G Growler, Aegis-equipped guided missile destroyers, long-range surveillance drones and aircraft, real-time satellite monitoring systems. These assets are integrated into a networked defense system, designed to detect and respond to threats across air, sea, and coastal environments, detection and defense systems. U.S. naval forces in the region rely heavily on integrated defense systems. The Aegis combat system aboard destroyers can track multiple airborne and maritime targets simultaneously. When combined with airborne radar platforms and fighter jets, the system provides a layered defense network, capable of detecting missile launches early and coordinating interception if necessary. Electronic warfare aircraft also play a critical role in identifying and disrupting radar and targeting systems used by potential adversaries. Iran's strategy in the region. Iran does not possess a comparable conventional naval force to the United States. Instead, its strategy relies on asymmetric tactics, including fast attack boats operating in groups, coastal anti-ship missile systems, mobile missile launch platforms, drone-based surveillance and strike capabilities. These systems are designed to create uncertainty and increase operational risk in confined waterways like the Strait of Hormuz. While limited in scale compared to U.S. capabilities, they can still present operational challenges in high-density maritime environments, region under extreme pressure. As tensions continue in the Arabian Sea, the Strait of Hormuz remains at the center of a growing geopolitical standoff. While no confirmed strike on U.S. naval assets has been verified, the situation has escalated into a high-alert operational environment for all parties involved. Both sides are now operating under heightened readiness, with naval forces, air assets, and surveillance systems actively monitoring the region. What Project Freedom is actually doing. The U.S. naval operation known as Project Freedom is not a blockade in the traditional sense. Instead, it functions as a coordinated maritime security mission, focused on escorting commercial vessels through contested waters. Key components of the operation include carrier strike group operations centered around USS Abraham Lincoln, continuous air patrols using FA-18 and F-35 aircraft, electronic warfare coverage from EA-18G Growler platforms, Aegis-equipped destroyers providing missile defense and tracking, long-range drone surveillance and satellite reconnaissance. All systems are linked through real-time data networks, allowing commanders to track potential threats across sea, air, and coastal zones simultaneously. Iran's military posture. Iran's military strategy in the region remains heavily asymmetric. Rather than matching naval power directly, Iran relies on layered coastal and maritime disruption tactics, including fast attack craft operating in swarm formations, coastal anti-ship missile batteries, mobile launch systems capable of rapid relocation, drone surveillance, and potential strike platforms. These systems are designed less for traditional naval engagement and more for creating uncertainty in heavily trafficked maritime corridors. However, U.S. and allied forces maintain advanced detection and interception capabilities that significantly reduce the effectiveness of large-scale, coordinated attacks. The defense architecture at sea. At the center of the U.S. defense posture are Aegis-equipped destroyers. These vessels serve as floating command and control nodes, capable of tracking over 100 airborne and surface targets simultaneously, coordinating with fighter aircraft and surveillance drones, launching interceptors such as SM-2 and SM-6 missiles. In addition, carrier-based aircraft extend the defensive perimeter far beyond the strike group itself, providing early detection and response capability. Electronic warfare platforms further enhance this network by disrupting enemy radar and communication systems when necessary. Global stakes behind the conflict. Beyond the military dynamics, the Strait of Hormuz carries enormous global economic importance. A significant portion of the world's oil supply moves through this narrow waterway daily. Even limited disruption in this region can trigger sharp increases in global oil prices, supply chain instability in energy markets, increased shipping insurance costs, broader volatility in global financial markets. Because of this, multiple international actors, including European nations and regional Gulf states, are closely monitoring the situation, diplomatic and strategic tensions. While military forces are deployed in the region, diplomatic channels remain active behind the scenes. The United States has emphasized freedom of navigation and protection of commercial shipping lanes. Iran, meanwhile, has repeatedly expressed opposition to increased foreign naval presence near its territorial waters. European nations find themselves in a more complex position, balancing energy security concerns with broader geopolitical stability. As a result, there is currently no unified international approach to resolving the tensions. Risk of miscalculation. One of the most significant concerns among analysts is the risk of miscalculation. In a heavily militarized environment where multiple surveillance systems, drones, aircraft, and missile batteries operate simultaneously, even a minor incident could escalate quickly. Potential flashpoints include misidentified radar signals, accidental missile launches or interceptions, naval encounters between fast attack craft and escort vessels, electronic interference affecting navigation or communications. While both sides appear to be avoiding full-scale conflict, the operational tempo increases the chance of unintended escalation. Final assessment. At this stage, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz remains tense but controlled. No confirmed large-scale strike has been independently verified against U.S. naval forces. However, the combination of military deployments, political messaging, and economic pressure has created one of the most sensitive maritime security environments in recent years. The coming days will likely determine whether this remains a contained standoff or evolves into a broader regional crisis. Closing line. For now, the Strait of Hormuz remains open, but heavily watched. Heavily armed and politically charged on all sides.